When Microsoft unveiled their very first take at a console back in 2001, they also released their first main exclusive game to launch with it, and that very game took the world by storm. Halo Combat Evolved, a futuristic first-person shooter where you travel the galaxy defeating aliens known as the Covenant. This game also spawned one of the most recognizable faces in gaming, Master Chief. He and the franchise ran things on the Xbox single-handedly for the entirety of the OG Xbox's lifetime. But when the Xbox 360 came out, Master Chief would have a new running mate as one of the many faces of Xbox. Insert Marcus Phoenix, the main protagonist of Gears of War, a third-person shooter game that takes place on a world infested with underground monsters known as the Locust. Following the success of both Halo 1 and Halo 2, Microsoft was looking for another IP to join the Xbox family. Microsoft thought it fit to bring in a flourishing Epic Games team that was working on a new third-person shooter game, seeing as that the Xbox 360 was a huge success but didn't have too many exclusive games on it. So in November of 2006, Gears of War was born. Gears of War was the first ever game to outsell Halo on the Xbox, which was unheard of at the time because Halo was the biggest franchise on Earth. For almost a full year they held the lead for the most concurrent players on Xbox. Of course, the reason they lost the lead was because Halo 3 dropped in September of 2007. But this didn't stop the growth of popularity that the game was gaining. The story takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where Marcus Phoenix and his best friend Dominic Santiago are sent on a mission to map out the tunnels of the ever more growing Locust Horde. The first ever trailer for the game encapsulated the lonely and dark atmosphere of the game with its visuals and the condescending tone of the song Mad World by Gary Jules and Michael Andrews.
I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world.
Which in turn got players to play the game for the story. But surprisingly, what kept the players to stay was the multiplayer. Originally, Gears of War wasn't even going to have a multiplayer. The developing team working on the multiplayer couldn't seem to make it work, trying to take aspects from games like Counter-Strike and Halo. They only had months left before the game was released, so they were just going to scrap it. It was only when they realized they were looking at it the wrong way. Gears of War itself was a new and fresh take on the first/third-person shooter genre. So instead of making a map where there are many rooms to walk and creep around, they made a map that was more open. Cover was all around, allowing the player mobility and angles to shoot. Power weapons were scattered around the map to give players reasons to move around and not just sit still. Their decision to keep the multiplayer integrated into the game paid off, because many players love the teamwork-based matches. Game modes like Team Deathmatch and Guardian were most played. This even spawned the very first meta to the game, that is still the meta till this day. The Gnasher was the go-to weapon when dealing in close-range situations. Players utilized wall bouncing for faster movements in order to gain the upper hand on their opponent. And if you were daring enough to walk up to your opponent with the Lancer, you could chainsaw them, making for a very gory scene. One good example of the multiplayer being a core memory for gamers is of Moist Critical, who boasts about his OG days on Gears 1, stating that had it not been for the multiplayer, he may have never even jump-started his career on YouTube.
Gears of War is where I started making videos. That game changed my life, unironically. The multiplayer of it specifically.
With its newly founded popularity, many enjoyers of the game desired more. So in 2008, exactly 2 years after the OG game released, they dropped Gears of War 2. Players were not done with the franchise at all. Gears 2 picked up right where the last game left off, in terms of both story and success. They also added a new game mode named Horde Mode, a wave-based survival game mode where players work together to fend off the Locust Horde. The fanbase was growing larger and larger by the day. Many fans took to conventions cosplaying as various different COG Gear soldiers, brandishing the iconic Lancer, the main weapon that was popularized through the franchise. Epic Games and Microsoft were able to cap off the trilogy with Gears of War 3 in 2011, marking an end to the main storyline and officially inserting the Gears of War franchise into gaming history. Life was good. Thousands of people were playing Gears of War. If you weren't playing online multiplayer, you were playing couch co-op with your best friend, your brother, your dad even. Lots of memories were made in the heyday of Gears of War. From 2006 to 2012, Gears of War was at its peak. So, what went wrong? In 2013, Gears of War Judgment. People were still wanting more Gears even though the series had a well-rounded and satisfying ending. So Epic Games decided to take a different angle at the series and hire the help of a different studio, People Can Fly. The game was set to be a prequel of the series, taking place only 2 weeks after E-Day. And most importantly, it was going to be centered around Baird and Cole, the other two members of Delta Squad. So fans of the franchise were hyped to finally see Cole and Baird's story before they joined Delta, being that they were beloved characters that you only get to play as once in Gears of War 3. But when the game finally released in March of 2013, to everyone's dismay, it was a major failure. For starters, the game wasn't even lore accurate. The Lancer being in the game made no sense. Marcus Phoenix created the Lancer with the chainsaw configuration about 2 years after E-Day, but Baird and Cole got that John 2 weeks after E-Day. And don't get me started on Baird and Cole. Baird is supposed to be the leader of the squad, which is fine and dandy, but he might as well have been a completely different character because he is nothing like his Gears 1 through 3 counterpart. No snarky remarks.
How's it going, Baird?
Oh, it's bullshit. Somebody here figured out that Cole played thrashball. Now it's all, oh, Coltrane, tell us all about that play again. And, hey, number 83, sign my shit.
No showcasing of his engineering skills.
Stupid junker. Piece of shit. Can you fix it? Yeah, I can fix anything, man. Just need the right parts.
Nothing like the Baird we all know and love. He's just a serious lieutenant with barely any lines and a couple quips thrown here and there.
Colonel, some grub riding a monster.
Cole, on the other hand, did a complete 180, going from the hype man of the team to a quiet, soulless character that doesn't even look like Cole. Like, how the hell did he get shorter over the years? Does gravity on Sarah work differently than that on Earth? The multiplayer was different, but not too bad. The main dislike was that there wasn't the Locust team. It was just blue Gears versus red Gears, as well as the fact that there was no Horde mode. There were a few good things that came from Gears Judge though. Paddock, a former UIR soldier that joined the COG in order to fend off the Locust Horde. Many fans liked this character and hope to see him return in any future installments of the series. Another positive to this game was my personal favorite gun, the Breach Shot. You could hit the most satisfying headshots with this gun, acting as both a close range and a long range weapon. And last, and actually the best thing to come out of Gears Judge, Sophia. Need I say more? But overall, the game was a major disappointment. It marked the start of the end for Gears fans. In 2014, Microsoft decided to buy the rights to Gears of War from Epic Games and take matters into their own hands. They tasked the studio, the Coalition, with reviving the franchise, starting off with a Gears of War 1 remake. Almost 10 years after the original came out, they released Gears of War Ultimate Edition, a touched up and refined version of the 2006 game. They even added an originally PC exclusive mission to the base game for Xbox players. Again, fans were hyped to be able to replay what many consider the best of the trilogy, but this time with smoother graphics and a modernized multiplayer system. The reaction to this game was actually not too bad. Fans were very pleased to be able to play their favorite childhood game, myself included. The issue lied with the multiplayer. It was nothing like the multiplayer of the original game, which made sense seeing as the OG game's mechanics were pretty outdated and needed some fixing. However, a lot of gamers liked the OG gameplay over the remastered, and in turn they didn't resonate with the multiplayer like how they did with Gears of War 1.
Just play Ultimate. Nope, Ultimate sucks. Ultimate is much worse than OG Gears of War. There's a huge gameplay difference between Gears of War on 360, like the base one, and Ultimate. It's trash.
Little did people know that Ultimate Edition was just the beginning for reviving the franchise. Only a year later in 2016, they released Gears of War 4. Many Gears fans were confused at the fact that they were continuing the story, even though it had been wrapped up with in Gears 3, but it was welcomed nonetheless. People just wanted to see more Gears content. Gears of War 4 was centered around Marcus Phoenix's son, JD Phoenix. The story takes place 25 years after the ending of Gears 3. Marcus lives alone on a farm, Barrett has a robot company and is bald, and Coltrane is still Coltrane.
Hey, who loves you, Marcus? Woo!
The mistake that Gears of War 4 makes is that they pull a "they never died" on us. The Locust apparently never died. They were just cocooning up and metamorphosizing into what we now know as the Swarm. A not as cool version of the Locust Horde. One thing that Gears 4 had up its sleeve was the visuals. If I'm being honest, the game was quite beautiful. The character design was polished and the environment was all bright and colorful. The prettiness of the game alone actually attracted new fans to the series. But this very feature also scared away many of the loyal fans to the series. This was not Gears of War. Gears of War was known for being that dark and gritty game. A game that wasn't really a horror game, but could still be scary just by how dark and quiet the environment was. The very first trailer for the game alone showcased what kind of game Gears of War was supposed to be. Top that change with the fact that you weren't even finding the Locust anymore. You might as well have not even called the game Gears of War. They were just taking aspects from the original series and twisting it and bending it in ways that in turn lost the game's identity. The game didn't have the same retention as the original 3. The Horde mode wasn't the same with the new enemies, the campaign was interesting enough but felt like an uninspired version of the original, multiplayer lobbies weren't as stacked as they were with Gears 3, things were amok. Fast forward to 2019, Gears 5. Off rip, fans were pissed that it was called Gears 5 and not Gears of War 5. Yes, everyone pretty much calls the games Gears 2 or Gears Judge, but at this point it was just about principle. The whole government name of the game should be present in all iterations. But that was just the start. Some fans had issue with the fact that they were shifting from JD Phoenix to Kate Diaz as the face of the new games, saying that they were making it her story and trying to drive the girl power narrative.
She's got help.
All that was fine so long as we got to see and play as our beloved character Marcus Phoenix. Wait, what's this? He's barely even in the game? You mean to tell me the main character and overall face of the franchise has such a small and useless role to play in this game? Surely they won't try to force his son to become a hardened, half-baked badass version of himself. Ah yes, give him a beard, a scar, a robot arm, and make him an asshole. This is peak character development at its finest. The story of Gears 5 was actually pretty good. The idea of Kate actually being the next queen of the Locust is a fire concept, and they showcased that aspect very well. But something they were trying to force into this game was an open world. And oh my god was it terrible. You were essentially just driving around in this vehicle called the Skid in an open and empty land for the most part. Gears fans going from a linear story-driven experience to a half-assed open world experience was not pleasant. Though Horde mode and multiplayer was improved in this game, it wasn't enough. They even added an entirely new game mode called Hive Busters, and as you may have guessed, it was a bust. Gears 5 was the nail in the coffin. I'm not even going to talk about Gears Tactics because it has its own niche and dedicated fan base. And don't even get me started on Gears Pop. The last major update to Gears 5 happened in January of 2022. Since then, if you boot up the multiplayer, you will have either bot lobbies or nothing but Mexicans playing with you because for some reason, just like Dragon Ball, Gears of War is still popping over there. It's probably why I'm such a big fan actually. And as time goes on, with this being the longest hiatus without a new Gears game ever, the fanbase continues to lose hope for there ever being a return to fame from their beloved franchise. All they could do is accept that the game is officially dead and move on to other titles that still get love. It may very well be the end for Gears of War. That is, unless Microsoft and the Coalition do the unthinkable. This year may very well be their year. Gears of War 6 has been the focal point of many rumors circulating about Gears of War that may be dropping soon. There have been whispers of the much desired Gears of War The Marcus Phoenix Collection, showcasing remasters of all the Gears games from 1 all the way to possibly Gears Judge. Not just that, but the Gears of War live action and cartoon series is still in development at Netflix, with a possible teaser trailer dropping this year alongside the trailers for Gears 6 and the collection. There may be hope for the franchise's revival after all. It's been a long time coming, my friends, but this is the first sign that there are brighter and better days to come for our beloved childhood game series. Gears of War will make its return in 2024. Well, that was quite the video, gang. This may very well be my longest video yet. Makes sense, I guess. I've been gone for like 5 months, so it's only fitting I go all in. And you best believe I'm making a comeback, baby. That's right, more lore videos coming soon, more discussion videos, you name it, it's all here. Here's to a great and successful 2024. Let me know what you guys think of the state of the Gears of War franchise. Is it making a comeback this year, or will it officially die this year? Let me know in the comments below and what you guys thought of my video. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe today if you want to see more of my content. Babbage Babbles out.